it's not just sales, especially when it comes down to tech-related items. It's not just sales. You have a bunch of different data out there that will give you millions of things that you can improve in your sales process. I'm in a revenue operations position in one way or another through almost like 5 or 6 years, like from different perspectives, because RevOps is something quite new. But from different perspectives over the past 5 or 6 years, I have been working to similar positions and having the running a revenue operations team for the past, I think now it's 2 years now. And now that I joined Superside, I had like a complete new challenge here. Is like how you create a revenue operations department from scratch, from everything. I'm honored to be part of Superside. We are a very fast growing company on the design ops domain, and we grow very, very fast right now. And this is quite a challenge. So at some point, like the people in the company, the CEO and the VP of sales said, okay, we need to bring somebody to take over the stack, the tech stack, and figure out a number of things that we have questions. And they brought me in. And this is like where everything starts for me in Superside. And like, I'm quite excited for the next months.
Awesome. The challenge and the excitement of high growth. Folks know it well. I have a question about something you mentioned, which is that you've been in RevOps roles in one form or another for 5 or 6 years, even before the function may have existed. Obviously, it's a massive buzz right now, RevOps, but it's not coming from nowhere. So I'm really interested to hear about the antecedents or the precedents for RevOps before you even got into it, and then how that emerged into a role you were in.
Exactly. So like in the past, I've worked as in a pre-sales position. Basically, I was running all the CRM things and everything I had to do on how we lock down opportunities, how we track everything, how we get all this data. Back then, my dad was pre-sales manager, but in reality, the actual work that I was doing back there in today's terms, that would be a revenue operations position. And even previous to that position, in other sales related functions that I had, I always was the guy that was organizing the processes, the guy that was organizing like all these kind of things. So yeah, sales operations, again, a new term, like I think it was the main buzz 3 or 4 years ago. So all these things are not new, are just like as we grow, as the companies grow, as the technology grows, as new requirements come in, like new people need to be more and more precise and more working in the detail of these things. Because one of the things that we realized over the past years is like, it's not just sales, especially when it comes down to tech related items. It's not just sales. You have a bunch of different data out there that will give you millions of things that you can improve in your sales process. It's not the classic sales of you had like the 60s, the 70s, you had the salesperson going knocking doors. No, we're talking about a complete new structure, complete new things. You have insights that there are the data out there to create these insights and get this kind of view. So yeah, a new position, a new role, but in reality, something that existed in the past as well.
Yeah, really well explained. You're right. These aren't necessarily new ideas, but the nature of a business has changed where we need someone looking at all of these things.
Yeah.
Very quickly then, Andreas, RevOps, we're very familiar with it now, but not necessarily everyone has a RevOps function. So interested to hear when the right time is to have someone as in RevOps and what people might be missing by delaying.
Yeah. I don't think there is like a strict thing to say, okay, if you're above 50 employees or 100 employees, you should get a RevOps person. There are many consultants out there that you can go and you can have like, because part of RevOps is also making sure that cost is run, the cost of the company are spent, the money are spent in a wisely manner. So there are multiple ways to implement a RevOps function, either internally or like with external resources. I think what you need to establish, and the thing where you need to start building a RevOps function inside the company, is where when you grow enough in order to have to say, okay, I just want to follow my own process here. I just want to do this and this and this. I want to get more insights in order to get to improve my sales growth. I think these are the kind of questions, and as companies buying tools, at some point you will need a person to be there and handle these tools on a day-to-day basis. So it's not a strict limit, but as you grow and your sales teams grow, this is where you need the RevOps people to join in.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, appreciate laying the foreground with me there, Andreas. So let's look at coming into an organization that haven't previously had a RevOps role and the role and the work that's required to lay the groundwork. So where do we begin? What do we get started on? And how do we know that we're starting in the right places?
Yeah, like if you go out in the internet and you search the different articles about RevOps, everybody's gonna say about the technical depth that we have, all the decisions that have been made, and all the things that have been discussed in the past. I'm in a unique position, like almost nothing has been discussed in the past. I need to create everything almost from scratch. But that doesn't mean that the company didn't have tools. The sales teams weren't using tools. Out of the box solutions with limited customization and limited integration and basic stuff. So the ground, like where you need to start is like, first of all, figure out the current infrastructure, which again, the technical depth is very, very limited. But on the other hand, decide based on the experience on things that you bring from other companies, where this infrastructure should go. Like, what's your big plan for the next year? What do you expect your infrastructure to be over the next year? And when I say infrastructure, I mean everything, your CRM, your tools in order to do prospecting, like all this kind of thing. Have a big picture of where you want to go with that thing. So the moment you start deciding and setting up this infrastructure, this is the first step that you need to do when you start from scratch, basically.
Okay, yeah, it makes a ton of sense. So there's an infrastructure in place and there's tech in place to some degree, but we need to understand what the long-term strategy for that is going to be, and that's where we begin.
Yeah. So I will tell you from experience, because I'm also doing mistakes in my life. Everybody do. Like the first days that I joined in the company, I was like, oh, no, we need to create this and we need to create that one, and let me have a button here, or maybe let me create this one. And then I realized that, like, because of working in another company before, and I had like all these things that were working, I tried to reproduce some of the things very quick and dirty, but that wasn't the correct way to do it, because I didn't have a plan. And like the decisions that I took after on like thinking on the future of my infrastructure meant that these decisions that I took were like bad decisions, like mistakes that I made. Of course, small mistakes, I can fix them, but still mistakes.
Yeah. Okay, so from what you're saying, we want to be more proactive and looking ahead rather than just reacting to things time and time again without a cohesive idea.
And I think this is a very, like, in the previous company that I had, I took over RevOps and I had all this technical debt. I had like all these bad decisions, like whether I agreed or not. The whole thing is to clear up a little bit this, let's call it mess, okay? Clear up this technical debt. I don't have this today. This is another point of view of the whole thing.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So we have our strategy then, Andreas. You've looked at your next year and what's ahead. But for other people in the organization, whether that's a rep, sales leader, whoever, they've got this new RevOps person in. And obviously communicating with these folks about that transition is really important. So how does that piece work?
Trust. Building up the trust for the people, it's a very difficult one. Because like when you're joining an organization, everybody, like, they have their own way how they work, and in the different departments they will be working differently. And since you're like one person that just joined, you cannot go in and like work for everyone at the same time. It's not possible. So you will need to prioritize. You will prioritize to your sales, to your customer experience people, to your SDRs. You will find like where you will need to prioritize first, because this is where your main gaps as a company, as an organization are. So the thing is that for the people that you're gonna prioritize, you're gonna start creating things that for them will make sense, and this is how you're gonna build trust with them, and they're gonna trust you because suddenly things that they were doing manually, they have an automation to do it. Like there are some times that I'm creating something very, very small. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna enable this one. And my people are like, my reps are like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like, why didn't we have it in the past? And I was like, it was just a click that I enabled, like nothing else than that. But this is how you create trust. The problem is how you can create this trust to the other departments that you're not focusing right now, because this is the even more challenging. Because if you wait 6 or 8 months, because in 6 or 8 months you're gonna put your focus in that team, you have already like established a state where they say, oh yeah, we have this revops guy, he has been here for 8 months, but he hasn't done anything for us, so we don't actually care about what he's gonna say. So the challenge is how can you focus on one department, focus on one team, try to fix stuff, but on the other side, creating some value for all your internal customers, which is a little bit difficult.
Yeah, okay. So we almost need people to buy into our mission even before the mission starts paying off for them first.
Yeah. And I think part of the RevOps function, and I've seen this in the past as well, is like communication. Communication is the key. Open people where we say, not only say our plans when we need to change something, explain why we're changing this, giving like, yeah, guys, we want you to fill out this field in Salesforce because this field is how we're gonna calculate this and this specific thing, and this how we're gonna take this decision. Like explain, like these people have been in the company more time than me, and they get it. Like, so I need to explain to them why this specific change is important and how it can help not only you but your managers or even the leadership of the company.
Yeah, absolutely. Showing the value of filling in data or the admin, whatever it is. So really interesting thing I wanted to ask you about, Andreas. Did you ever find yourself in this scenario where you had to explain what RevOps was and the alignment piece that RevOps does, given that a company hadn't had RevOps before? I'm really interested in whether that was a feature at all.
Yeah, like the first days in the company, I had so many meetings and I was trying to explain, set the ground base, like what the expectation should be, like what the job should, like what my job and my role and my team will be doing for the next year and what we will not be doing. And guys, these are the decisions that you need to take. Like this kind of setting up the expectation across departments and making sure that like the leadership is aligned behind this expectation and behind this plan is quite difficult because, you know, today I'm reporting under the VP of sales. We have a VP of marketing, we have a VP of customer success. So you go to people that are like above your grade, let's say, and you need to explain to them that, guys, this is what I'm gonna be doing and this is what I'm not gonna be doing. And, you know, this kind of setting the grounds is a little bit difficult and it needs some flexibility.
Yeah, okay. Appreciate it. So what's one or two key things you've learned from doing this that perhaps someone else doing their first RevOps function might not have realized before they began?
Yeah, don't overpromise. Like, don't say that I'm here to take over everything and I'm gonna fix everything and I'm gonna do it. Like, I don't know how other RevOps people feel about it. I don't feel about like I can solve all the problems in the world or all the problems in the sales funnel. I can take the decisions. I will do my best to solve them, but I'm pretty sure there are gonna be problems that I'm not gonna solve at all in the end. Like I'm pretty sure about it. So raising this kind of expectation and making sure that you're not overpromising. Oh yes, I'm gonna fix everything in Salesforce and change the whole structure in the next month. Not gonna happen. Like when I am explaining my plans to the leadership, I'm telling them, yeah, we will be lucky if we're gonna have this by the next 6 months. Like,
yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. But I mean, we're all eager to please as human beings, aren't we? So it can be tempting. So that brings up a critical point though, which is having a space at the strategic table, which sometimes might involve telling people things they want to hear, and sometimes it might be having a constructive conversation about strategy and where we're going and what's happening. So when you're new in a RevOps role in an organization who hasn't had one before, you've got all of that hard work ahead of you to get a place at that table, Andreas. Have you found that, and really what's a good method for going about it?
I don't know. I don't know how to say there is a good method to go about it, but I can say the struggle. Like the easiest thing for a RevOps person is to become a sales operation. Like to just become the person that is fixing stuff in Salesforce and updating the flows and updating the things and making sure the tools are running. Like RevOps is not only the sales operations part; it has additional things. It has to design the strategy, help the leadership take decisions, give them the insight that they want, give them additional information that they don't know that they could get. Like all these kind of things are additional things to what separates like a sales operation from a revenue operations. So I think this is an ongoing struggle. It's going to be a struggle over the next months for me at least, because I'm in this position where I joined. I start fixing all the tools. I start, making the changes. But now this is the point where I need to explain to the leaders that, like, guys, this should be the strategy. This should be what we should be doing. And how I'm doing that, at least personally, I bring all my experience together in order to provide solutions for problems that I know we have, but they don't understand it. Like one example, opportunity stages, the pipeline of the stages. Okay, so everybody's happy, everybody's using it. So I came out, I did my analysis, I did my reports, I studied a lot, I talked with the A's, which is a very important thing, being able to talk to your reps and get feedback from them. And I realized that, guys, these stages that we have do not work for anyone. We don't understand it, but they don't work for anybody. And yeah, I have a proposal for this one because I've studied and I did my my background checks. So this is how we should be moving forward. This is how you start gaining your seat on the table, because at this moment, people consider you as like, okay, this guy came in, gave us insights that we didn't know about it, is proposing changes that seems fine, and this is what extra we're gonna get. So again, I think these are the kind of things that gets you on that table and gets you to have like a voice inside there.
Yeah, that's astonishing, Andreas. It makes me realize what a slow paced but patient journey this can be. And it sounds like really what this is about is having our idea of strategy, but actually maybe focusing on the tactical, small, everyday improvements we can make right away. When we do that, we build trust. And when we build trust, we can bring people into our strategy and get involved in the strategy of the organization.
Yeah, exactly. And always like, for my side, always being an open person, being able to explain why I'm doing a change, why I'm proposing something, why I believe something. Like, giving feedback to people is like the best thing. Like, make them think also the things that you are thinking. Like, this is my my concept.
Yeah, it's fantastic, Andreas. So a final question for you. If you're in a room full of RevOps superstars, like the A-listers, best to ever do it, what would you ask them?
Oh, that's a nice one. I have no idea what I would like to ask them. How to design a better flow in Salesforce? No,
yeah.
I'm reading out in the articles about RevOps. It's a very buzzword. It's a very, there are all these different forums, all these different people. and there is a lot of discussion, like the revops should be like the leader in everything, will become the chief revenue operations person that's gonna have like all this. Like, I don't believe in this kind of vision. I do believe in the revenue operations function as a way, as it should be included. It should be cross department. It should communicate with the leadership, be part of the table, etc. But like, I don't think like the revenue operations would ever replace, for example, the VP of sales. So should we like say that, okay, this is our role, this is where like we should go to and start working towards that direction? Like, can we have all these A stars of revenue operations have the same message around like what the vision of revenue operations should be? So we start focusing on that. We start creating, I don't know, better forum certifications. I have no idea how we could do that. But, focus on like establishing that what their role should be, explaining this to leaderships, and make sure that revenue operations is considered what it should be considered, and not a sales operation position where it's just hitting the numbers.